to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 379. My name is John Morgan. Cold coffee is with me.
Yeah.
But that's not all.
No.
Special guest in the house, longtime friend, VIP, haven't seen him in forever. The Simon Head is in the house.
Accept no substitutes. You need the Simon Head.
I appreciate you being here, man. It's feeling like International Fight Week already because we got that international flavor. We got our man Ravi Subban just kind of hanging out in the background, smoking on something over there. Doesn't look like a cigarette, just saying. But having a good time, hanging out. And, it's here, man. It's International Fight Week is back. This feels – look, I know we're just getting into it. I know we haven't gotten to the whole Expo and UFC X and all that. And we're going to talk about this insanely sick fight card of UFC 276. But, man, today was kind of cool, right? Like, you boys are back in town, man. Y'all can actually travel over here again. And we got to that media day at the UFC Apex today. And what was there? I mean, had to be 100 people set up in there. I mean, we have not seen a setup like that in forever.
It's mad. Do you remember when you're a kid and you've been really bad and you get grounded by your parents, right? And you're not allowed out? And then you've been good for a day or two and then finally you get the good news. You're allowed to go out and see your friends again. That's what it feels like coming back here to Vegas. I've not been here since January 2020. UFC 246. I've done 245 in December, which was the Colby versus Usman rematch.
Right.
We had McGregor versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone,
right.
246. That was going to be the kickoff of Conor McGregor's season, if you remember that.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and everything stopped. And this is the first opportunity we've had to get back stateside since then. So it's nice. It's like getting the band back together again. It's great.
That's good. Talk to me about internationally, right? Because we haven't had a chance to hang out and speak about it. I mean, I think a lot of people, again, not that anybody would say, hey, COVID was a great thing. But people have said for the UFC, COVID kind of ended up being a little bit of a boon, right? Like, they were the first sport back. Obviously, they had access to the UFC Apex, so things went on. And people have really pointed to, subscribership growth, viewership growth here in the United States. I know it's from being in Belgium a couple of weeks ago and trying to watch an event at 4 in the morning and just realizing how damn difficult it is for you guys to have to follow along. I mean, have you seen the same type of uptick in viewership or fanhood like during COVID times?
I don't know whether it's been during COVID times, but the sport is definitely much more established now. I think BT Sport have done an incredible job with it. They just recently had their contract re-upped by the UFC, which is great news.
Right.
But they're not chopping and changing, moving to different providers. The team that do what they do at BT Sport, they do as good a job as any broadcaster that I'm aware of. I think they do a better job than ESPN, if I'm honest, in providing extra content for fans. Whether it be the social stuff or whatever it is.
I only see the social stuff. I don't see the program. But they do a lot of shoulder programming and stuff as well?
They do some shoulder programming. A lot of what they do is on YouTube, but they also run some of it on the linear channels as well. But they do a really good job with it. They've got a good group of people over there, and they do a really good job. The sport as a whole, like you've been, we were saying just before we came on air, you've been doing this podcast for 7 years, right?
Crazy.
I've been on this podcast a fair few times, and we've been on a UFC International Fight Week a few times, and I've joked with you that it's been cursed in the past.
Yeah.
And one of the things that came out of each one of those was how agile the UFC is as a company and how they're able to pivot and change and just react to unexpected changes at the drop of a hat, whether it be changing the main event twice for UFC 200 in a space of 3 days, which is what they did that week. Being able to hold 3 events in the space of a week, which was absolutely nuts, and they pulled back from that eventually. But, they've been able to make adjustments on the fly, and that's one of the things that makes the UFC as successful as it is. The ultimate test of that was the pandemic. And the fact that they were used to being able to be agile and make changes and adapt, improvise and come up with new solutions meant that they were best placed to take advantage of the fact that there was no live sport on TV. How can we get our sport on TV? And they were the only show in town for a little while. And I think the sport has gone up, certainly on this side of the pond, levels since then.
Yeah.
And back home in the UK, obviously a lot of the big UFC stuff, as you mentioned with the Belgium thing, happens in the dead of night for us.
It's tough, man.
But the viewership, the fan base is bigger. UFC Fight Night in London in March was such a massive success. Dana White in a press conference said that they nearly pulled the event like the week before.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I think was getting a bit frustrating, and they were very close to pulling a pin and sort of saying, no, we're not going to do this. But then in the post-fight press conference, Dana was like, that's one of the sickest events we've ever done. I don't care what the schedule says, we're tearing it up, we're coming back. And at the end of this month, at the end of July rather, They're coming back 23rd of July, and it'll be another insane event. They could sell out the O2 Arena without announcing a fight. That tells you how big the sport
That
is
shows
now.
you the power of the
That's
I remember the
crazy,
first time they did that in Australia. It was they were going to Australia. They announced that they were going to Australia, and they hadn't even announced the fight. Tickets went on sale, and they sold out. I'm like, dude, that just shows you the power of the brand. Like, they have done well.
Yeah.
They have done well.
I've missed you when you say stuff like schedule.
Hi, Kenny.
I miss all your little phrases, governor. I miss it.
Well, I just don't want to upset you, Kenny, because I know have you had these things registered as deadly weapons yet?
They've been put away. They're locked away.
No one throwing lazy leg kicks at you in the gym or anything. No,
they don't know.
They learned their lesson.
They
lesson.
do it once
that's
in
good to know.
sparring, never again.
Kenny Sloggins.
No, I love it. That's one of the things. That's when it's International Fight Week. Because today, it was in the bigger room today. It was in the typical weigh-in rooms, which is much bigger than the media day room. But when you heard the questions today, you could hear the Australians. You could hear some of the English people speaking. That to me is when you really feel like it's International Fight Week. Outside of just the fighters, just the whole vibe of the media that's actually covering it.
Right.
It's awesome to see. I mean, we even joke. I mean, this event as opposed to other pay-per-views. Like pay-per-views, will see media coming in town, but not to the extent of this.
Not like this.
I can't remember the last time we saw this sort of turnout for this sort of event.
I'm sure the change in travel restrictions is probably a big part. I mean,
Sure.
I'm not trying to take this card that we're going to get to is sick.
Yeah.
But I imagine that's part of it too, right? Like now it's just easier. Like you don't have to turn in negative tests, and there's no concern and all that stuff.
I mean, they're paying more than ever for the
Oh,
travel,
my God.
but
Oh, my
I
God.
just wonder what it would be, if flights weren't so crazy priced. But it is awesome to see. I mean, obviously we're happy to see you guys here, but that was just tripped me out just listening to all the accents and stuff today. I was like, wow, it really is International Fight Week.
I'm looking forward to seeing the expo again because that used to be a big thing, and now
Used to
all
be
the
free.
guest fighters and stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Just a cheap little plug here. We'll be set up. It won't be the MMA junkie folks will be doing something different, but us over here at mixedmartialarts.com, we're going to set up. We're going to have a live stream going the whole day. I'm actually not going to go to the official weigh-ins or the ceremonial weigh-ins. I'm just going to go straight over to the expo. We're going to set up over there. We're going to have a live stream. We'll talk about the weigh-ins. We'll talk about everything. My man Simon Head
You
is
could probably
gonna
pull up
join
my
in
live
with
stream
us.
while you're there.
I thought about that. I was wondering, maybe I could pull up a live stream and use your stream as an input into our stream or something. We'll see what we do about it. I'll just push in past the logo a little bit, and we'll be all right.
I'm claiming that shit. I'm claiming that footage.
But we're gonna sit around. We're gonna have, the UFC is gonna be shuffling in. Guest fighters wouldn't really be the right word, I guess, because there's so damn many of them. But they're just gonna be bringing people in, and so we figured we'll just sit there and break down the card. So if you're hanging out on Friday, if you're hanging out on Saturday, and you just want to join into the live stream, check us out. It'll be on the MMA Underground YouTube channel. We'll have a live stream set up there, and you can just duck in, duck out. I know, I can't imagine too many people are going to stay with us the full 7 hours or whatever it may be, but join in. We'll try to interact with the chat and just bring you some interviews all day long. So
It's going to be a lot of fun. As I said, it's going to be basically a 7-hour chat between me and John, interrupted by a few UFC legends here and there. So, no, it's going to be a lot of fun, and chatting to people.
Hang
fans
on there,
in the
Chuck
building.
Liddell. I need Simon to finish his point right now.
Damn right. Damn right.
All right, let's get into it. UFC 276, we did finish with Media Day today. 18 deep on Media Day, so we got to talk to everybody on the main card, everybody on the ESPN prelims. Let me ask first, Alexander Volkanovski had this little thing where he was like, hey, a lot of people are telling me this is the main event. I don't know about it. I want to see, are you guys feeling that? Because, look, I'm not saying I'm not excited to fight. We'll talk about that. But I'm super intrigued by Adesanya and Cannonier. And I get it. Maybe it's not, two all-time greats in the division that are potentially jockeying for that. But while I am excited for the trilogy, I got to say no. If I'm saying the main event, I'm saying this card got built right. It's Adesanya versus Cannonier.
Here's the thing, right? I think if you're looking at the two title fights at the top of that card, Volkanovski versus Holloway is the better fight. That's my opinion. I think that's the better fight. But the star of the show is Israel Adesanya, and I think that's why he deserves to be in that main event spot. He's the guy who's going to pull the viewers, just through his sheer personality, and everything about him screams stardom. Right? He is the biggest, probably the biggest active star the UFC has right now. I think he's international. He's a world champion. He's got a superb record, and I think everything, he ticks so many different boxes in terms of what you want from a poster boy for a sport or for a promotion. Now, in terms of the fight itself, I think the Volkanovski-Holloway fight has more intrigue to it than Adesanya versus Cannonier, but that's not to devalue the quality of the main event, which I think is a banger. And I think in some quarters he's being slightly slept on. I think Jared Cannonier is a dangerous opponent for Israel Adesanya. More dangerous than some people are giving him credit for.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because you tell me, okay, main event, this is the Israel Adesanya show, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, look, I'm looking at the betting lines. They're up around like minus 400, which is, that implies like an 80% probability of winning. Like, I get it, and listen, I'm telling you right now, gun to the head, make a pick. I'm picking Israel Adesanya. Like, I don't know how you pick against Israel Adesanya, but let me say. And Jared Cannonier, and it's not just, I will say there's some times where, we hear from somebody and they're so convincing that you start saying, oh man, maybe this guy has a chance. I didn't really get that impression today from Jared Cannonier. I mean, Cannonier's an interesting cat, right? Like the way he talks and things he says but it's not like it was just like, oh dude, he's so fired up, I'm feeling it. No. It's the man's game. It's the man's intensity. It's what we've seen in the cage, the knockout power, because I am kind of the mindset that if you're going to beat Israel Adesanya, you are not going to out-technique him. Like, you are not going to set up and be like, I think over the course of 5 rounds, I could probably outwork this dude on the feet. I think either A, you've got to land one big shot, knockout power. I think Cannonier has that. Or you got to be willing to walk through fire to get into a clinch, to make it, to try to stuff him against the cage, which again has proven harder than it's, as Israel Adesanya said today, he's proud of where his grappling has come and where he's developed. So it's not like it's easy to do, but to me, that's the two ways you have a chance to beat Israel Adesanya: catch him with one big shot, or just walk through fire and make it dirty, grimy, into the clinch, try to get him on the ground. And I do feel like Jared Cannonier has both those options available to him.
Well, see, the way you just described it, that's why, to me, that's the more interesting fight out of the 2 titles for me, and why I think it is the main event, because I'm watching it because I want to see what Izzy shows up, and is this the fight that Izzy's going to lose? Is this the fight where Izzy's not going to look good and he's going to do something wrong?
Everybody
I already
has
know,
an off night, right?
I already know
Everybody has an off
Volkanovski and Holloway is going to be a great fight. They were great fights. All the other fights were good. I mean, in terms of where maybe they are more evenly matched and they're competitive, I'm sure those two are closer. But honestly, the way that Volkanovski, maybe I've just somehow just drank the Kool-Aid. I don't think this is going to be as close as a fight as some of the other ones where I'm picking Volkanovski in this one. I think as much as I love Holloway, Holloway is not the same as Holloway used to be at his best. I think he's still one hell of a fighter, and he can push Alex to the point we've seen where Alex, I mean, he very easily could have lost that fight against Ortega, but he didn't because he's a fucking monster, man. Like, Volkanovski's just firing on another level. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls an ass whooping out on Max. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would not be surprised. But I think there's a better chance of that happening in this one. And with Izzy, I mean, Cannonier, I mean, I don't know. He's obviously very sure of himself and he's very comfortable in his own skin, but he doesn't emanate like this. Like, I'm going to be the guy that's going to destroy Izzy, but there's still that if factor that we've seen Izzy some days not look his best. Even in that fight with Costa, where Costa didn't give him anything for a while, Izzy looked flat. If he has a person on the opposite side that's flat, that takes Izzy a while to get started, that could be the difference of, does he ever get it to the point where he can switch into that higher gear that he really starts getting loose and really starts getting exciting. I hope so, because that's the stuff I want to see out of Izzy, and that's the stuff that makes me want it to be the main event, because that's the fight we're going to see something more than likely in that fight that you're just going to be like, holy shit.
See,
that's the most amazing thing I saw.
I think you touched on it right there. I think that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about this fight is, yes, I like Jared Cannonier. He's interesting, but I feel like we got robbed of that Paulo Costa fight. Like, what we wanted to see in that fight, like the moments we were waiting for, the pressure we wanted to see, can Adesanya. And Adesanya did say today, like, and then listen, Israel's smart, man. He knows the game. He knows, like, he reads the internet. He's on social media. He sees it, and he said it, and he's right. He said today, like, oh, power. And I do think it is always a little bit dangerous. I mean, when you go to his kickboxing background, when you think about that, it's not like he's never faced anybody with power. I mean, those dudes that he was facing in the kickboxing world, like, those are just big, yoked up, jack dudes that know how to throw. So he's faced power, But I do want to see power and aggression in 4-ounce gloves. You know what I mean? Like I said, I just don't think you can set up at kickboxing range and be like, oh, let me slip your stuff, Izzy, and I'm about to watch what I'm about to bring.
Yeah.
No, you got to come at him. That's what we thought Paulo Costa was going to do.
Yep.
And then, of course, the red wine. We know how it goes, man. I'm not blaming you. Look, a couple frosty beverages here
Your
and
fight
there.
game goes out the window.
I was having trouble sleeping over there. I might have had a bottle or two of red wine. I just didn't have a championship fight the next day. But I think that's one of the reasons I am extra excited for this. Yes, I believe in Jared Cannonier. Yes, I believe that he's a challenge. But I believe there was a time where we thought we were going to get these kind of questions answered in the Paulo Costa fight, and we didn't get those questions answered.
Jared needs to be all up in his business.
Yeah.
He needs to crowd him the whole entire fight and never let Izzy get distance and get range and get into that fight. He's got to keep Izzy always stepping back, trying to get that distance, and then I think he has a chance because then he never lets Izzy get loose, and then it becomes really exciting because then you're like, okay, maybe this is the answer for Izzy, is never give him the space to where he can use that length.
I mean, like, I'm talking about at the opening bell.
Yeah.
Like, don't even, like, get in the opening bell and, like, set up and then, hold on, let me work on my entry. I'm talking about, like, just rush forward and just get in his ass.
Don't take a knee to the face.
Hang on a minute.
Like,
Sorry?
It's a different kind of thing happening. You know what I mean? I know I hate when people say that. I'm going to get all up in his ass. Like, ooh, really?
I'm coming, getting in his face, and I'm coming on that log.
Was it Aljamain Sterling who said something like that on an interview, and then
Pause.
immediately realised what he said? But the thing with Jared Cannonier is he's coming down from heavyweight. He was heavyweight, light heavyweight, now middleweight, and he looks like an action figure.
I
at
remember when he
middleweight.
told us he was going to middleweight, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's not gonna
that's not
yeah.
gonna happen.
But this is a guy who he's used to taking shots from bigger, heavier guys. He's only been stopped by strikes twice in his career. One was by Sean Jordan, who was like a 265-pound fire hydrant of a man,
Yes, he
right?
was.
And then you've got Dominic Reyes, big rangy striker Dominic Reyes, who got lots of power himself. Israel Adesanya has the ability to knock people out, but he's not what you would call a one-shot knockout artist.
Right.
It's that precision.
Yes,
that
he's
speed
more
and precision.
sort of death by 1,000 cuts sort of
Yeah.
approach. You know what I mean? He just dismantles people with his striking.
Yep.
So Jared Cannonier's chin could be a defining factor in this fight. You mentioned he's going to have to walk through some stuff.
Yep.
And if Izzy can't deter him, can't stop him, then potentially he's going to find himself on his back a few times in this fight, and we're going to see how well he can get up with a bigger, stronger, possibly heavier on fight night.
And
guy
that's
on
kind
top
of
him.
That's the exciting part,
That's
right?
the
Because that's
exciting
what we
part.
haven't
That's the
seen.
exciting
We're
part.
like, what happens when that happens?
We've seen it once before, and
know?
he lost that fight
Yeah.
against the light heavyweight. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. I think a lot of the focus has been on Izzy's punches, but it's going to be. I think the kicks are going to be the defining. If he can take Cannonier's legs out,
Yeah.
and
I agree.
and just stop that movement, it's going to make him an easier target to hit. It's going to make him a lot harder to shoot in and close the distance. He needs to basically stop these charges or these takedown attempts at source, and he needs to establish. I think you're going to see a lot of low kicking early from Izzy. He's going to be a lot of lateral movement, a lot of low kicking, and then establish that. And if Cannonier can't make an impression in the first 2.5 minutes of that first round, I think he'll eventually go back to the corner at the end of that round and he's going to be hurting. And then you've got a wounded animal there, and then I think Izzy will start to go to work the second round onwards. I'm picking Izzy to win the fight.
I was going to say, I think it sounds like we're all unanimous because I'm picking Izzy as well.
So here's my. I was going to say, to lay out my final thoughts on that fight. I'm picking Izzy. I wouldn't lay minus 400. I don't like laying minus 400 on anybody. It's an MMA fight. You can take a weird step and roll your ankle and have a TKO or something. You know what I mean? Yep. Who knows? I don't like laying minus 400 on anybody. So I'm picking Adesanya. But the fan in me, in terms of my excitement, I think when those two guys get in the cage and the main event's about to start, I think you're going to get that little whoo, you know what I mean? Like there's going to be some tension, there's going to be some electricity, so I'm excited for it.
What's the biggest selling point of mixed martial arts? If you strip everything down, what is the biggest selling point of mixed martial arts? There are so many ways to win and lose a fight. And what we have in here is Israel Adesanya facing a fighter who he hasn't faced before, someone who poses a different set of challenges, someone whose experience leading into this fight is very different to most middleweight contenders that you can look at in history. Started as a heavyweight, come down light heavyweight. He was competitive as a heavyweight. Mm-hmm. It's not like he was a bust as a heavyweight.
Right.
He was a solid heavyweight.
He wasn't the action figure that he is now.
Correct.
But he was still competitive.
He was still competitive. Realised that he could actually get more out of himself by dropping the poundage, moving down. And now we've got a world championship contender on our hands who and his mindset's very interesting as well. He's stripping away all external noise, and it's all about it's not just another fight. It's a title fight. Yeah. Whenever anyone goes into a title fight and says it's just another fight, they're BSing you, right? Yeah. Even, and I don't want to call Jared Cannonier a liar, but I think he was telling a few little fibs, right? This is a title fight. You can't treat it exactly the same. Extra rounds for a start, right? So the prep for it is different. So, but he's been stripping out all of the external noise. He's trying to keep everything the same. He's trying to keep that level-headed energy going in, not putting Izzy on a pedestal. Saying this is just another guy. I go in there and do what I want to do. I win the fight, and it's that level of if that sort of bulletproof confidence that he seems to have can stay intact in the fight, things are going to get very interesting.
I love it. I'm excited for it. All right, let's talk about this co-main event. Again, I don't mean to be disrespectful of Alexander Volkanovski, who said he thought that a lot of people believe it's the main event. It is still a very big fight. It's an incredibly meaningful fight in terms of the history of the division, in terms of the all-time greats of the division. I love it. I will go ahead and out myself right now as somebody who says that, in case you didn't know, I scored both fights for Volkanovski. Close fight. I don't have a problem for anybody who says, the second one went to Holloway. I don't argue with that. I did score it for Volkanovski. So I do feel it's an incredibly competitive fight, an incredibly meaningful fight. It is. I think it loses a little luster when it's a trilogy that's 2-0 one way, but it's still a great fight. I think Kokavi, I think you kind of nailed it. Like, I'm not going to take away from Max Holloway, man. What Max Holloway has done and will continue to do. I believe Max Holloway has very, many good days ahead of him.
He still beats a lot of the guys in the division.
Oh, damn near everybody. I mean, look at what he did to get back here. And I respect the path that he got back here. Max didn't sit here and pout and be like, I won that fight, and you look at what I've done. You deserve to give me a trilogy. He's like, nope, I lost. Guess what? I'll go beat number 2 and number 3, and then I'm number 1 again, right? And hell, let's respect Alexander Volkanovski for saying the same thing, right? Like, he could have been about like, bro, I've already beat this cat twice. What do you want me to do, man? Like, we just keep giving him fights until he gets a chance to win. And I think he kind of he did say that at one point, which is funny. But ultimately, Max went out there and got 2 wins. And he's like, yeah, you're the number 1 contender. Let's do it again. So I respect both these guys for the path they've taken to get back here. I will say, though, and I think you touched on, man, to me, and I know there's a lot of Max Holloway fans, and so I'm definitely not trying to disrespect Max Holloway whatsoever. I do feel like Volkanovski's just kind of like on that different level right now. I mean, I feel like this dude is in the prime of prime, and he's had 10 rounds with Max Holloway. He understands, man. That's 50 minutes of data that he's been able to absorb. And sure, Max is going to be a little bit different. He's going to make adjustments, all those things. But I believe that Volkanovski just understands him and has done what it takes to win the fight. And I like Volkanovski here.
Yeah, I mean, and you clearly Max is one of the most beloved fighters in the world, and it's like you're going to get hate regardless. If you don't pick Max, you're going to get hate. Somebody's going to hate on you.
Gotta love the daddest man on the planet.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother reason to love this dude. I mean, like, how can you not love Max Holloway and his work ethic and what he's put into, and you know what you're going to get out of a fight of him. I mean, when he's feeling himself, he's out there moving, he's dancing, he's talking smack. I mean, everything about it is just incredible.
What he did to Cater was just ridiculous.
It was just ridiculous. I mean, and Cater's an absolute stud of a fighter. I mean, it's just, again, I mean, like, who knows? I mean, like we always say, there's always a puncher's chance, and this could be the day that maybe Volkanovski isn't feeling right and Max shows up. I mean, I just don't think, I mean, Alexander has proven that him and his team behind him, they're so damn good. They don't make mistakes. They don't come in unprepared. And the way that Alex has always carried himself, he's not the kind of guy, even that he's beaten you twice, he's not going to take it easy on fight camp. He's not going to do one bit less than everything that he had to do to get to the top. And right now, at his current level and knowing that he's coming here and giving anything, I mean, there's nobody in that division that I don't think loses to him. As much as I love Max, as much as I want Max to always be at the top of the division, I just don't think anybody can beat Volkanovski right now the way that he's fighting, and that's no offense to Max, because I'd rather hang out with Max in the evening than Alex, because Alex seems like he's all business, even though those guys
clearly
look like
the
they would be a lot of
fun.
fun.
Fight is who I'd want to be. That's who I'd rather hang out with, so I'm picking him.
But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be an incredible fight, and it is interesting. I mean, the fact that it is a trilogy. This is one of those fights where some people could say, "Why are we seeing this again?" This is still a story of two of the best fighters in the division, and the fact that there was some controversy. I'm like you, thought both fights were scored the right way. I thought Max did a better job of it, but I certainly wasn't upset about it. But if it did go the other way, I wouldn't have been mad either because I thought that second fight was just incredible. I thought Max just really showed. Just a lot of heart and just a lot of character. But I just don't. I can't go against the champ, knowing what the champ's been doing. You know, I mean,
That streak
it's almost
that he's on is insane.
it's just ridiculous. I mean,
21 fight win streak.
Insane. I don't care who you're fighting.
yeah,
21 in a row. I don't care who you're fighting.
Yeah.
You
it's
don't
nuts.
slip up.
It's nuts. But I mean, like you said, anything can happen. I don't see it happening in this one.
I think I'll put my cards on the table first off. I scored the second fight for Max Holloway.
Fair.
I thought
Won't
Holloway.
argue.
I thought Holloway didn't have to win that second fight. Super close fight.
Yep.
Super close fight. And I think the fact that, other than the pair of you guys, actually, almost everybody else I've spoken to this week also said that they scored the fight for Holloway. So that gives you an idea that there's a fair split of opinion when it comes to how that fight panned out. I'm picking Alexander Volkanovski. I think he's the better mixed martial artist. I think if it was just a pure stand-up fight, Max Holloway wins. I think Max Holloway is, in pure sort of MMA boxing terms, I don't think there's anybody to touch him at 145 pounds. I think he's absolute top of the tree.
Yeah, when his hands
But-
are on, nobody can touch him.
Yeah, and we saw it against Cater, right? The
Yeah,
way
that's it.
he just dismantled that man
That's it.
Ridiculous.
That's
with
it.
ease as well. It looked like he was barely putting in an effort. You know, he was doing no look punches and
That was
everything.
insane.
That was so
it was
ridiculous.
almost
That's literally one of the craziest highlights we've ever seen
Yeah,
in
that's-
all of the UFC.
Yeah, that's
mad.
literally like you just took your dick out. You're swinging it like, bitch, look at this.
Yeah,
look at
against
this.
against
Look
the
at
number 3 guy in the
this.
world. Against the number 3 guy.
That
in the
was so. It was so sick. That
you
was
know,
like the sickest shit.
so to do that, I mean, that's why Max is in this fight.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I think Alexander Volkanovski wins this fight, and I think he wins it because he has the ability to mix things up. He can win the fight on the mat. He can win the fight in the stand-up, and the ability to transition between those phases is going to be what keeps Max on his toes. This is not just going to be 25 minutes of people throwing punches at each other.
Yeah.
If it was, I'd be leaning towards Max, but it's
Yeah.
not. 'Cause it's an MMA fight. So that said, let me play devil's advocate just a little bit. You mentioned that during the media day, Alexander Volkanovski, the fact that he acknowledged that Max Holloway was the worthy guy to be in this fight.
Right.
There was a caveat to that. He said, "This is the biggest fight I can get right now." That's basically what
I
he
didn't
said.
hear that part. But that's,
Yeah,
that's funny.
I wrote this up just before we came over. He basically said, "This is the biggest fight I can take right now," and the 2 words were "right now."
Right now,
Okay,
yeah.
and then about the last 2, 3, 4 minutes of that media day session that he had was him talking about fighting at lightweight.
Right.
And make no mistake, this is a man who has already decided what he's doing after this fight.
Oh, yes.
Right? And MMA is, it can be a cruel mistress sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You start putting plans in place, things can go a little bit pear-shaped. So you mentioned Alexander Volkanovski is the most professional athlete you can meet. He isn't arrogant.
But maybe that was
He
a
isn't-
little
he isn't-
crack in the facade.
He
right
isn't,
there.
he isn't a complacent man. He's not an arrogant man. He doesn't look like a guy who cuts corners. But he has got, just maybe not in one eye, just peripheral vision off to the side.
A little bit. Yep.
There's fights at 155 pounds, and potentially he wants to be a 2-division champ. To be a 2-division champ, you've got to deal with Max Holloway first. And he did say that, but then he went on and talked about lightweight for 5 minutes. So just bear that in mind when he's in there, because
True.
I say this as someone who's picking Volkanovski to win the fight. I always get a little bit wary when people start talking about their plans after the fight that they've got. And it's not like, now if he was saying this before the Korean Zombie fight, okay, fine. Before any of the other title defense, but this is Max Holloway we're talking about. If you take Volkanovski out of that division, Max Holloway is head and shoulders above everybody else at 145 pounds, right? So this is the one guy in the division who has a chance of dethroning him, in my opinion.
Now, all right, let me play devil's advocate to your devil's
the devil?
advocate.
Whoa.
Oh, here we go.
But you're 100%. But it is,
Angel's advocate.
because what you're saying is 100% right. You're dead on. But it did make me think. Okay, first of all, the only reason he talked about it is because we're like, by the way, once you win on Saturday night, what's next, right? And then we always say, like, I can't believe this dude didn't have a call out ready, or I can't believe this dude didn't have, he gets on the mic. You're supposed to know what your next step is. You're supposed to have a call out ready.
He's the champion of the world, John. He doesn't need to do that.
Okay.
They call him out.
Fair.
He's the guy that gets called out. You line him up, son. I'll knock him down, right? That's how this works. Now, this is different because all of a sudden he wants to start stretching himself, but he did say he wants to stay at 45. He wants to.
That was your question. Because you were like, are there still things there?
There's still business to be attended to.
There's still business to be there.
And the other thing, and this is going to sound incredibly harsh on Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett is, I think the general consensus is that he's probably the next guy in line, right? He's going to be cage side on Saturday night. Whoever wins this fight, and I know Max Holloway, I think has probably been thinking about.
Did he ever
moving
get
up to
those
55.
cage side seats? I know he was.
I
Pushing
don't know.
for
I
it.
don't know.
I know he was pushing for it, but I don't know if he ever got that yes from D-Dubs.
He's on Ticketmaster hitting refresh right now. But
That's it.
I got row 12 for you. It's in the. I ain't got anything on the aisle. It's in the middle. You kind of. But I got 2 seats with one person in between, but maybe you can ask him to switch.
But if you win this fight, and you've got the option of potentially moving up and challenging for a title at 155 and becoming a 2-division champion, or you say, no, I'm going to stick around and fight Josh Emmett in my next fight. With all due respect to Josh Emmett, who has earned his keep, right? I remember him. I think he might have had his UFC debut in Rotterdam. I remember him showing up in Rotterdam. I think he had his debut there.
He did. If I remember right. I remember we were there for that.
We were talking to him, and lovely guy. Didn't have any inkling at that point that he was going to become a world title challenger. All we knew at that point is he was a really tough guy out of Team Alpha Male. That's all we knew. And he's had a great run, and now he's on the verge of a shot at the title. But I think even if he is next in line, he's probably going to have to wait, because arguably, unless Max Holloway wins, I think he's going to have to sit for a bit.
It's possible. And I will say, to Volkanizer's credit, he did mention Josh Emmett today.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
But he then, also mentioned Yair and Ortega. He also mentioned numerous fights at 155, and he did say, I want the fights. And you can't blame him for this. He said, and he was very clear about it. He's like, look, I can't fight forever. I'm trying to make as much money as I can, and I want the names that everybody's screaming, right? That everybody's saying, that's the guy he has to fight. And to your point, God bless Josh Emmett, man. Tough competitor, incredible fighter, great run. But, when he the other night said, I want that next shot, the reaction I saw wasn't like, yeah, it has to be. It was like, well, maybe. Let's see.
You're near.
Let's see what happens with Ortega and Yair first, and we'll go for there. And I guess, I guess from that perspective, like, Emmett probably would want Ortega to win, because if now granted, if Ortega smoked Yair, maybe that would be enough. Ortega's pretty marketable, but I would think if Ortega wins, you're like, well, we saw that, so it was a great fight though. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe Emmett could squeeze in.
Yeah, the one thing to put a bow on these two title fights, and we're talking about what might be next for Volkanovski if he wins, and we're talking about which weight class he might potentially be fighting in. What I really do want to see, if we get Ann Still in both the title fights this weekend, I want to see both those guys booked on the same fight card in Australia, and put a big card down, because the sport is going crazy over in Australia and in New Zealand, but particularly Australia, where there's a big market for it down there now. They've got a champion who, if he wins on Saturday night, is going to be on a 22 fight win streak. He will have cleaned out his division virtually. He will have beaten the next best guy in the division 3 times in a row. He's done everything. He needs to be fighting on home soil. They need to be really, really pushing. And he's a pound for pound star. No, if you're ranking the best fighters on the planet, those 2 guys are probably in the top 3 or 4 pound for pound, right?
Yep.
And victories on Saturday night are only gonna strengthen that. They need to be on a big card in Australia. I can hear Mark Fellows in my ear cheering and going, "Yeah, come on!"
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
but,
it.
but yeah, it's true. They need to put a big. If these 2 guys both win, mind you, even if they both lose, put them both on a big card, get them down there, and put a big show on down there. It's been a long time for those guys down there as well.
Yeah, I mean, they deserve to be able to defend their belts, or like you said, just be able to fight down there.
Yeah.
And as a reward to the Aussies and the New Zealand guys, like, those guys are fucking beasts. They eat up MMA. We know from just years that we've been able to go there, those guys travel
love
better
it.
than anywhere else, and those guys are just crazy. I mean, because one side of
love it.
Australia to the
They're-
other is
they're-
like a huge travel, and then they go all around to do it, and then they come to the States
The
to
fight
watch
started
events.
at 9:30 in the morning. They're already hammered. I mean, just hammered for the first prelim. I'm like, oh, I love you guys.
It's unreal. I mean, so yeah, I mean,
Coke Coffee
obviously
likes to
these
roll down
guys.
there just so we can drop C-bombs the whole time. Just,
Oh yeah. I mean, like they travel so well. I mean, so for these guys, they deserve it. I mean, to reach the pinnacle that they have, they and now that the world's opened up more and the U.S. has made it a lot easier to come to and fro, it's a lot. They deserve to be able to go fight over there, and there's no doubt that any arena wouldn't sell out over there, and it would just be incredible. And I think it would be really cool to see that crowd embrace their own in their country.
That'd be pretty badass.
It'd be pretty sick.
All right, let's talk about this featured fight between Sean Strickland and Alex Beheading. Before we do, let's just go ahead and share the audio of Sean Strickland today. I'm going to say, if by any chance you've seen this, feel free to skip ahead about 18 minutes or so.
If you're at work,
if you're at work, throw in the headphones. Throw in the headphones. Definitely NSFW. Okay.
Times 100.
Definitely. I mean, might not be safe for. You know, it's funny because like afterwards, everybody was like, I heard somebody, I can't remember who it was, maybe it was Amy Kaplan, was saying like, I don't think he was that bad today. And I was like, well, I think it's just because you're used to Sean Strickland at this point. So
desensitized now.
yeah, exactly. You're like, it's
Yeah.
like when your racist uncle shows up over at the house. He's like, I wasn't that bad today. Like, he was saying some racist shit.
He was okay today.
Yeah, you're like, no, he was. No, you're used to him.
If you want to get fired from work, just take the earbuds out, put it on speakers, and job will be accomplished after this.
But I just think you have to experience this because it is the most off the rails. Like at one point, and I don't know if the mics picked it up or whatever, but it's like, what are we doing right now? I just couldn't. I literally voiced that out loud because I literally thought, what are we doing right now? It was crazy.
It was just a comedy show at that point.
Sean rolls in, and he's already roasting people right off the start, right?
He went down our whole line.
He
said that I
walked
looked
in.
like I was sleepy. I just rolled out of
He's
bed.
like, looks like you just rolled out of bed. I respect that. You know what I mean? He had your back. It's just roasted people. And I mean, literally, you know, and Sean always talks about he's a fighter and there's nothing else he can do. I think he can do stand-up. Now, I don't know how long he can do stand-up comedy because he might get canceled pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I think, you put him on an Adam Hunter show just doing crowd work, he's savage.
Yeah.
He's absolutely savage. So let's play this audio. If you've seen it, you can skip forward about 18 minutes. We'll get to it. If you haven't, I implore you, just stick through it all because this man, I don't know if I'm going to say he's a treasure, but he's unique. Sean Strickland.
So I'll just come out and say it, man. I've been training hard, ready to knock this guy out, training with kickboxers, and I'm ready.
We thought you were going to keep the roast going up there, maybe.
No, I seen Sean O'Malley fucking clown. No, I actually like Sean O'Malley, but like, how do you let a dude tattoo a fucking name on you? Get on, dude. Do you fucking hold his pocket? Anyway, sorry.
He was just saying nice things about you over
No,
here.
Sean, no, again, this thing about Sean O'Malley, man, like, I can't hate on the fucking guy because he's probably making a fuck ton of money. And, like, he just fucking gets a face tattoo, you know, he hangs out with fucking losers, and he's probably making more than I'm making. It's fucked up, but it's his life.
Maybe
Play
it's
the
a
game.
path to follow.
I know, fuck, man. No tattoos for this guy. I don't need any distinguishing marks if I commit a crime at some point in my life.
I see, that's smart thinking right there.
All right, let's get this bitch going. Come on, guys, I'm ready. Let's
All
go.
right. But, back in front of a crowd, I mean, sold out T-Mobile Arena, International Fight Week. I mean, I know this is just a job for you, but, I mean, is it special? Is it a different feeling than any other fight?
No, wait, let me try again. No, I'm so excited, man. This is the biggest opportunity of my life. I can't fucking wait. I finally made it. The big show. Look at this, all these people here having to fucking put up with me. I made it. Nah, man, I mean, I'm just another fucking day. Go in there, fight, make money. It's cool.
Alex, obviously a dangerous guy, proven in kickboxing, but not necessarily the track record in MMA. Did you feel like he was...
Big, scary Brazilian, man. We could all say it. The guy's massive. I walked him like, fuck, man, he's going to welterweight again. No, I don't. I mean, isn't he the current glory champion?
believe so.
Well, I mean, I know he lost, but I
Yeah.
think by default they took all their belts. So does that default him back to the champion?
Okay, I think so. Yeah.
Fucking glory cowards. Anyway, sorry. I shouldn't say it.
Did you feel like he deserved this opportunity against you? I mean, he hasn't paid as many dues in the UFC as you have.
Dude, if we learned anything about UFC rankings mean nothing, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it means nothing. He's the one that knocked out Izzy, so it's like, here's what you can do. You could have him go, and then he'll eventually fight a wrestler who will take him down and beat him, and then they'll never get the Izzy shot. Or they could be like, hey, why don't we have him fight Sean? Sean doesn't like to wrestle. Maybe if he beats him, then we could float him to the top. So this is literally purely just a ploy by the UFC, putting him against someone who likes to strike to potentially get him an Izzy shot. So UFC, I applaud you, but I might fucking wrestle.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, do you play a lot of because of course you're absolutely right in your evaluation, but it would seem to be the easy route would be like, I'm just going to do nothing but wrestle for 100%. I mean, could you do that?
Here's the thing, man. Here's the fucking thing. Let me tell you guys something. There's not one glory fucking kickboxer in any fucking weight class that I couldn't stand and bang with. So don't fucking tell me just because you're some big fucking Brazilian, you knocked out Izzy 20 years ago, that fucking I can't stand with you. Come on, motherfucker. Get out of here.
You know the storyline of them trying to put it together without Adesanya rematch, but you
Yeah,
win. I mean,
Izzy,
number one contender fight for you as well?
Fucking Izzy's probably in his hotel room right now watching fucking anime. I want to be the next anime. Fucking Izzy. No, but yeah, of course, dude. Like fucking, yeah, let's go. By the way, I think I'm gonna be at the press conference, and I can't curse, so I need to try to tone my shit down. I can't say fuck. Can I say fuck here? I can say here, but not the press conference.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
All right, let's be fucking better, Sean. Be a fucking professional. Let's get sponsored. Let's get some endorsements. Come on, fucking Nike. What do you want me to do? Want me to vote for fucking Biden? I got you. All right, sorry, let's continue.
Well, I guess last thing for me, I mean, your thoughts on this fight as far as how it plays out. I mean, as you said, it looks like it could potentially be a banger, but maybe not such an exciting fight would be the smarter route. So what kind of fight do you think we see?
Man, I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to do. I never walk into the plan. I'm going to go in there, oh, man, that's a serious fucking cowboy hat that man has. Can we just acknowledge this guy's big fucking cowboy hat? That's interesting. Anyway, sorry. Fucking distracting me. But, no, man, I mean, we'll find out. I don't really go on a game plan. I mean, obviously, if I go in there and he starts fucking hurting me, yeah, I'm going to take the coward's way out and try to wrestle. But, hopefully I could stand and bang with this gigantic, scary fucking Brazilian.
Sean, I'm just curious, who came to you and said you shouldn't swear at the press conference?
Man, here's the thing about, when you're owned by Disney, because ESPN is owned by Disney, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, dude, I don't want to get Gino Carano'd. I want to walk the line, bro. Where's my LGBTQTZR shirt? Do we have any more letters added to this fucking thing? I don't want to get banned, dude. I want some sponsors, Nike. Give me a fucking flag, you guys. I'll carry this motherfucker around. Let's go. I say offensive shit, dude. I can't help it, At the end of the day, you guys know I love the gays. You guys know I love the fucking gays. You want to fucking, you want to...
heard that.
Yeah, I fucking love bi women. They're the best thing ever. Greatest thing, You guys all fucking love it. Anyways, I'm not racist. I don't have anything against fucking trannies or trans... I don't know if you can say... I don't have anything against anybody. You want to cut your fucking dick off, call yourself Susie, hell, I'll call you Susie. I don't have anything against anybody. So if I say something that offends you, I'm fucking joking. Calm down. Relax your fucking panties. It's going to be okay.
Sean, over here.
This fucking guy. I like this guy. Aren't you Canadian?
I am, yes.
This fucking guy. I actually like Canadian women. They're very liberal. Liberal in the best ways.
You got to train an American Top Team. I was curious why you chose there of all places to go train, and what was the connection? How did you end up training there?
So Johnny Elblin, he just beat Gegard Mousasi. I wanted to help him for Gegard, but I really went there for Artem Levin. He beat my opponent pretty decisively, and we used to train when I was a kid. He used to be kind of a bully to me when I was a kid, so I wanted to run that shit back. But yeah, I pretty much just went there to help Johnny, who fucking looked amazing, and then to train with Artem Levin.
You met Kayla Harrison. What was that exchange like?
Oh, dude, she's fucking insane. She's insane, man. Like she's fucking cool, but who she reminds me of? You guys ever watch Super Troopers? Officer Farvo. She just walks in the room like, hey, what up, fuckers? And me and the guys are sitting there like, oh, shit. That just happened. But, I talk a lot of shit on Kayla, but once she lets her guard down, it's like she's pretty sweet. And you gotta understand. I've never said one good thing about Kayla. And, most you guys, the media, we're all cunts. We all make fun of her, We all fucking do it. So I understand that she's in a world that, she's so used to being attacked that, sometimes you gotta, pretend like you got a dick and, be a little bit more aggressive than you should. So I take some responsibility in that. Sorry, Kaylee. You're all right. You're a good person. I like you.
And do you have a pick in the main event between Adesanya and Cannonier? Who do you see winning that?
Oh, fuck, dude. I don't know, man. Who fucking knows these days? Who's the favorite?
Adesanya is a big favorite.
Yeah, I mean, who fucking knows, dude? Do you know? Who do you think's going to win?
Adesanya, I think.
Oh, fucking A.
Just last one for me.
Yeah, but you watch anime too, you fucking...
I don't watch anime, but it's all good. Nothing against that. Last question. You're good buddies with Chris Curtis.
Yeah,
there was a point where he, wasn't on the UFC's radar. Now he's in. He got another big win last week. How happy were you for him? Because you guys are good buddies.
Oh, man, I just want the guy to make money, Like, you don't want to fucking... This is the thing about sucks about MMA. Like you could spend your whole life to this MMA and make jack shit with money, and the next thing you know, welcome to fucking Walmart. So it's nice to see actually Kurt having a future and won't be contemplating suicide at some point, because there was a point in his life when he was fucking up all these guys that were getting signed he'd beat guys that would get signed, where I had to bring him down, Kurt, don't do it, man, don't fucking do it. So I'm happy for him that he's getting a shot, and he is one of the hardest working guys in the fucking gym. I mean, he spars every day. After his fight, he was back in there Monday helping me out and helping guys out. Kurt's the man. He trains his ass off, and he fucking deserves it. And he should have got it a lot sooner.
Sean, back here. You mentioned back to your left.
Back to my left.
Yeah, you mentioned about
man, you're all the way back there. Is that because you're low on the totem pole, or is it
I mean, what can I do? I can only move up, right?
Yeah, what's with the guys in the fancy suits? How do they get up there? What's the deal with you guys? Are you a commentator? You a guy? Why do you guys get front? He's all the way the fuck back there.
Mike is more than welcome to come all the way back up here.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
Okay, just checking, dude. Just checking. Yeah. These fucking guys watch anime. Look at that. You know they got anime stickers on their Subaru. You fucking know it. You fucking know it. What kind of car you drive, bro?
Just a Mazda.
I guarantee you got an anime sticker on there.
I do not.
Oh, okay. That's some respectable. All right, sorry, man. I'm just fucking with you. I actually watched, when I was a kid, Avatar, The Last Airbender. Good fucking anime, man. Aang was the fucking man, so, I can't talk that much shit. Anyways, back to you, sir. What's up?
Well, it's good to be recognized here. So
in the way fucking back. You don't want me to come down there?
I'll stand on the chair if you need me to, Sean.
Nah, that's all good, dude. I got you.
But I'm curious, when you found out you were going to be at the press conference, how did you initially react to that?
Oh man, fuck! Don't say anything gay. Don't say anything homophobic, racist. There's a lot of boxes that I gotta fucking check, And you guys all fucking know me. That's not who I am. But I just start talking, and next thing I knew, I'm making fun of the fucking Mazda kid with the fucking anime addiction. I can't fucking help it, dude. I can't fucking help it. Fuck, man. And the guy next to him, he doesn't even fucking know what he's doing here, man. Where's your fucking tie? Why are you letting him outdress you? Anyways, no, I just can't say anything fucked up. So that's my goal. And if I do, you guys, you got to give me a pass. I'm a white trash, dropped out of high school, man. I'm not quite socialized. I don't get out much. So this is actually the most social interaction I've ever got. You guys are forced to be my friends, forced to like me. It's nice. All you motherfuckers just saying, man, I hope this motherfucker just gets knocked out so I never have to see this guy again.
So I'm also curious, on top of that, if you win this fight, it's probably a number one contender fight, you get a title shot. How would you describe what a Sean Strickland title reign would look like?
Oh, my God. Fuck, man. That's why I'd want to be a champion, just to bring it down. You have all these, good champions. They're they carry themselves so well. They pretend they're not a bunch of fucking caveman, barbaric losers. And I just want to be a champion just to let you guys all know that we're all a bunch of fucking losers that hit people in the face, I'm not going to be a Sean O'Malley with the fucking double watches and the gay face tattoo. And I just want to be the people's champion, like the guy that you meet at a bar that's complaining about fucking Biden. That's me. I'm just a people. I'm a guy. I'm a guy like you guys. Or girls, depending on what gender you choose to be.
Hi, Sean, all the way back here.
Yeah, all the way back there, dude. I got you. Man, and you're recording from a fucking cell phone, dude. We got to have a conversation about your setup.
I know, right? We get paid.
Bro, you can come up here if you want, man. You want to join me? How many followers you got on Instagram?
94,000.
94,000, more than me. What's your name?
Chris.
From where?
Well, I work with MiddleEasy.com and MMA Island.
Okay, MMA, I know this fucking guy. He's always tweeting my tweets and giving me fucking, hey, is that you? Is that fucking you? Oh, man, yeah, you need to come sit by me, man. And the funny thing is, I always talk shit on them, but it's things I'm saying. So like he'll post something and like I get so much heat. I'm like, fuck this organization. And I'm like, Sean, you're the one that said it, you fucking idiot.
Just one question for me. What did you make of Kevin Holland stopping his fourth crime in a row right
man.
before his last fight?
I don't fucking know, man. Kevin Holland's a fucking girl. I mean, yeah, good for him, man. Like, fucking way to be a good guy. Way to be a fucking superhero, Kevin Holland. Fucking, do you want a brownie? You want a fucking award? Yeah, no, he's doing the right thing, man. Good job. That's the only thing I could say that, yeah. I had nothing to say to that, dude.
Yeah, Sean,
I would probably like him more if he was on committing the crime, but, you know, whatever.
Hey, Sean, back here, another one of the back row guys.
I don't even know where you... Oh, shit, dude, you're behind the pink shirt guy.
Exactly.
Man, why are you so far back? Where are you from? Tell me where you're from.
Cage Side Press.
Cage Side Press, that sounds official. Well, who's more popular, you or MMA Island? You're more readable. Dropped out of high school. This motherfucker just hits a repost button. You probably actually have to do your job. But continue.
It really sucks some days, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, no, you're regretting this choice.
Oh, heck no. Sean, I want to know, when sponsors talk to you, what do they ask
When
you?
sponsors talk to me, who the fuck? What?
Like, have you ever had them just straight up say, Sean, you need to stop or we're not gonna pay you?
I've just accepted that I'm not gonna get fucking paid. You know what? I'll give somebody a free shout out. Fucking, what's that one like dog Bitcoin everybody's about? You know what I'm talking about?
Marshallino?
Yeah, and every asshole fighter standing up there like, this is the best thing ever. This guy's helped me, made me so much fucking money. I love this. And meanwhile, they don't know fuck about Bitcoins. They actually hit me up for a sponsor, and you know, I just like, at the end of the day, man, I don't like fucking Bitcoins. I don't fucking, you know, it's tanking, it's shit. Like, why am I gonna go peddle some shit that like I don't believe in? So until someone makes some like white trash fucking brand, you want to give me a trailer company, man? I've been looking, there's some good trailers. No, so it's hard for me to like get sponsors with shit I don't believe in, you know. And so, are you a crypto guy? Yeah.
Heck no.
Smart man. I bet this guy's a fucking crypto guy with his Mazda. What kind of Mazda you got, bro? Is it Miata? Oh shit, yeah. No. I actually like the Mazda. How many horsepower you got? Like 180? Oh, this fucking guy doesn't know fuck about cars, man. All right, anyways. Sorry, man. Did I answer your question? Yeah, sponsors don't fucking come to me. But if anybody knows any sponsors, man, like fucking, I like money. You know, I only got a few more years left in this sport. So if you guys want to give me money, fucking let's go.
What would be your most ideal sponsor, Sean?
Oh man, fuck. Who said that? Oh, this fucking guy. This man, I like your beard, bro. If you can't grow hair, you grow a fucking beard, and that man fucking accomplished that. I like that. He's in shape. Do some TRT.
I just wanted you to make fun of me.
Yeah. You know, I make fun of myself so much, so it's so easy. I don't fucking know, man. It'd be like a gun company, fucking motorcycles, fucking any stereotypical white trash hobby that you could think a white male would do. That would probably be something I'm interested in, you know? Yeah.
Do you have a filter on anything?
Ah, fuck, man. I don't know, dude. No, not at all. Not at all. I don't know. Where you from, dude? Where you from?
Utah.
Okay, you're a good-looking guy. He's probably one of the better-looking guys in here without hair. I like that guy. He has good... What do you... You work out?
A little bit.
Are you Mormon?
Yes.
Oh, you got a couple wives, huh? I respect that.
I'm working on the second.
I respect that. Oh, you really are Mormon, huh?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you ready to get your own planet?
Well, working on that too.
Are there any red people in here? You know, the Christ come in. Why are Indians red? Because isn't there some weird story? I'm not gonna make fun of religion, bro. You know you're in a cult. I don't need to make fun of you.
So one other question. What's the best thing Biden's doing right now for the country?
Oh my God, fucking Biden, dude. Give me a fucking break. You know, let me go on a rant real quick. Real fucking quick about America. That's why, like, I'm not a huge American fan, right? Like, you assholes with all this inflation. Let's just say, like, and this is why if you're trying to buy a house, fucking Mazda, man, you're about that time where you need to start trying to, like, you know, get a fucking wife, have a couple kids. All that inflation does with Biden, you let people like me or other people money, they go and buy these fucking houses. So a little Mazda kid can't do it. And we're like, oh no, inflation. All inflation does is make their $1 million fucking loans that they get devalued, and they raise your fucking rent for that. Like, Don't even be starting on fucking Biden in America, man. I'm the most patriotic fucking guy there is, but I can't love America and I can't like America, because if I fucking liked America, I'd be a fucking radical fucking terrorist. I'd be running down here with the 1776 flag saying, let's fucking go. So it's easier just to be like, yeah, let's go Biden. Let's go Biden.
Sean, just right here to bring it back to actual fight talk. You said,
oh yeah, fight talk. Is that what we're here for?
you said you don't, like the fact that people say maybe you can't hang with the striking of Pereira given his background. What do you?
He's not even a good striker, bro. Like, what is Pereira? Like, fuck, dude. The only reason to do that is because you're fucking tall, man. You're genetically gifted. If you were a normal sized fucking human being, you wouldn't even fucking be here. Your style sucks.
So what do you think your style? Why is your style so much better?
Because I have to. Because I'm not a fucking genetically gifted fucking. I'm a fat fucking outish fat. I got a fucking gut, man. I actually have to learn to fight. I just can't be like 80-inch reach, fucking 80-inch reach head kick. Like, fuck, dude. I actually learned how to fucking fight. Now he pulls his fucking camera. Now I'm sitting down. Anyways.
I was expecting you to get up like that.
Yeah, fuck, man. You get me all worked up talking about fucking Biden with the Mormon. I'm fucking angry.
Thanks, Sean.
All right. Are we good now? Are we good?
One more for me. What about bisexual women speaks out to you?
Wait, who said that?
Over here.
Can I get some? Oh, this fucking guy, dude. Don't you fucking start with me. I don't want to be on one of your fucking clips, dude. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not even answering that MMA island.
Thank you.
All right. Is that all she wrote? Da, 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 da. All right, guys. Anyways, it has been fun. You guys are all awesome. If I offended you, I'm sorry. Don't be such a pussy.
So we could sit here probably all afternoon and talk about breaking down word for word what Sean did. I'm just going to say I don't want to do that. I just want to say that was probably the craziest media scrum I've ever been a part of. Now, there may have been some over the years that I'm not remembering, and so somebody maybe hit me up with some crazy ones. But as far as, recency bias and all that had to be one of the craziest ones.
I've just pulled up my WhatsApp because I was messaging you during this. And the first one just had 3 words on it. Off the rails. That was it. Off the rails. Because at that point, he'd hijacked the whole proceedings, right? I mean, everyone was just sitting around just waiting to be roasted. Security Steve was standing off to the side doing his best not to piss himself laughing.
Security Steve, and I'm not going to use his name too much and say too many bad things because I'll end up missing. But, no, it was funny. Like, you could see he had his hand over his mouth. Mm-hmm. He was just trying to, like, control himself a little bit.
Yeah, so... Yeah, and I completely off the rails, and some of the stuff was, to say it was close to the knuckle would be an understatement. Some of it was flat out funny, like the stuff where he wasn't talking about marginalised communities and things like that, where he got a bit tricky. Some of the other stuff where he was just roasting some of the members of the press, I thought was very good.
I do too.
And and as a member of the press, I approve of that. Right? I think. I think as members of the press, we should be prepared to take a little bit of stick, provided it's allowed to come back in kind without repercussion, because they could kick the crap out of us. And I don't particularly want that.
I mean, it's funny. We've heard him in the past, but like that was the best session in terms of him just like saying his jokes and have them resonate and be funny. Because he's tried other ones, and it was like, oh, you're trying so hard, Sean. Right. You're trying so hard. It was like he practiced a routine. It was so good. But you're right. I mean, there is something to the fact that we've seen Sean do this over and over that for me, I won't lie, I thought a lot of it was just absolutely hilarious. But in the back of my mind, I was like, wow, for a lot of the people that haven't seen this in person, I could see their wheels just like, oh my God, am I now obligated that I have to write something and do whatever? It's like, bro, I get it, because we've already been through that same hurdles internally as well, where people have jumped over and said, okay, well, now we have to say this, or now we have to do this. And it's easy enough to do that, but, like Dana would love to say on these sort of things, they're fighters, they're cage fighters. What do you expect, But there is something to the fact that his delivery and that he was just so at ease doing it. And I think that's why it felt funny and got a good laugh, because he was firing on all cylinders. I mean, Was it probably wrong to say a lot of the shit? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But was it funny? Yeah. Is it wrong for us to say it was funny and acknowledge it being funny? I guess so. But it was funny. And I loved the part when he kept going off on the different media. And I don't even know the guy, the Mazda kid that he was yelling at. I think it was an international media guy coming in.
That might be his first trip to Vegas. Can you imagine?
It was literally hilarious.
It's like, what have I done?
And, but it was good. I mean, Sean did it. He kept the kid gloves on. He could have went a lot harder, towards the kid. But it was cool, man. But yeah.
It was. If I can say the word playful, when he was roasting the members of the media, he was doing it with a smile on his face and a twinkle in his eye, right?
Yeah.
Like, to anybody who doesn't know Sean Strickland or know anything about him and had just watched this from minute one, they'd have been like, "Wow, okay, this is kind of full on." But I think, and also there was some interesting stuff that came out of that. It was almost sort of under the radar stuff. I love the fact he was talking about Chris Curtis and how they're good friends and all the rest of it. I actually met Chris Curtis yesterday at Extreme Couture. I had a really good chat with him.
Yeah.
Absolutely top guy. Someone who's finally getting his chance, right? Yep. And that was something that I thought that was a lovely little moment that he spent like a good minute or so.
A lot of respect.
Really just making the point that Curtis was someone who was fighting guys, beating them, and then the guys he was beating were getting called up to the UFC, and he was just giving him some props, which I thought that was great. And Curtis is the sort of guy that anybody who meets and talks to him and watches him fight, they're a fan of him because he's just one of those kind of fighters. And the other thing that struck me, and that might account for why he was quite as animated as he was, I think the amount of people in the room may have made him a little bit nervous. And I think he might have been compensating for a little bit of nerves.
Definitely the first time
walking into a room with about 100 media members in it,
Yeah.
in a much bigger setting than he's ever dealt with before. Bear in mind, we've had the pandemic era where you've had probably 3 or 4 outlets tops.
His last media day there in the Apex, there was probably 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably 4 or 5 of us.
He walks out through a curtain and there's 100 people sitting there and about a dozen cameras pointing in his face.
That was very cool. That was very cool for the fighters because they haven't had that in a long time.
No.
Through no fault of us, we show up. We're there. But I mean, it's just unfortunate for some cards people don't. Today, for that point, was probably one of the coolest things to see fighters actually come out and be like, "Wow, this is like a proper media day. Like this is awesome."
Yep.
I wish more were like that. Even when we're at downtown or even at the T-Mobile, you can't quite get the gist because the media is all separated. You have the people in the front, and then you got us in the way back riser. So in that sense, it was very impressive. And for the fighters, that was probably one of the first events where they felt like they were in a big show.
How it used to be.
Yeah, this is how it used to be. Like it's firing. Like it was really, really cool. So I certainly didn't feel any nerves, at least from him. If anything, he rose to the occasion.
Yeah. He sort of mentioned a couple of times that he was like, I haven't really got loads of friends. I'm not much of a socializer. Blah blah blah. He's like, you're all my friends now. And all this sort of stuff.
He's a gym rat. He is a total gym rat.
I just thought there might have been a little bit in there of him trying to adjust to his surroundings a little bit and deciding, sod it, I'm just gonna have fun with these people. They're all here. Let's see what let's just sort of. Tear one off and see where we go with this. And there were a few moments that had you sort of wincing. Going,
There were a couple things I wish you would have taken back.
You don't want to be saying some of that stuff, but some of the other stuff was absolute gold. And if we can keep that, the trouble is you can't, because of the way his personality is. I don't think you can have one without the other.
Nah.
Yeah.
And for a sport that is now mainstream, that's a tough sell.
Yeah.
And he said it himself. He thinks they've brought in Alex Pereira to beat him. And that they haven't given him someone who can wrestle or someone who's known to wrestle. Right. I think, as you said at the press thing, I think we might see a bit of wrestling out of him. So, but it's an interesting matchup, but that media day was a unique experience. Let's put it like that.
That's what. So you touched on. I want to get into the fight aspect of this because it is interesting. Like I will say this, I think this was perfect matchmaking, right? Because I am of the opinion with Alex Pereira that, look, he's going to lose some fights. There are some terrible matchups for him in this division, but we all know why he was brought in, because of his history with Israel Adesanya. And the UFC, I think, has done a good job of managing him to this position. And, look, they're giving does Alex deserve this fight? No, he doesn't deserve this fight. But is it a fight that you can get away with making and that you can put him in? I honestly believe if he beats Sean Strickland, they should absolutely make the title fight right away because of the history, because of what you can sell. And like I said, there's people in this division they're going to beat Alex Pereira. There's no doubt about it. Now, here's what I'm wondering, because I think it's a perfect piece of matchmaking. I think it's smart. It potentially maneuvers Alex into a title shot. It's the right stylistic matchup. But Sean has the ability to out-wrestle him. Sean absolutely has the ability to out-wrestle him. But I know he says, I hate wrestling. I hate boring fights. I want to be, he likes to go out there and bang. I think, and this is why I'm torn on this fight, because if Sean does go out there and say, like, I'm going to strike with this kid to prove a point, I think he gets knocked out, to be honest with you. I think he gets knocked out. I mean, granted, he's got a nice jab. He's got nice pressure. He could take a shot. I'm not saying it's like he has zero chance. He does have some chance. But I think he drastically increases his chances of winning the fight if he's like, I'm not messing around with you in the stand-up department. I'm just going to wrestle. But I don't know if he has that in him. Like, I think it's and I think even Izzy touched on it. He said if he fights with ego. And I don't even know if it's ego. Like, maybe it is. Maybe ego is the right word. I don't know, but it's just like, that's just who he is. Like, I think he wants to fight that way.
I mean, I would if there was anything to credit where I think that maybe he's smart enough to know that he doesn't want to just play into his opponent's strengths. Is Chris Curtis credited him for helping him in his training camp. Here's Strickland crediting Curtis and what he's able to do. The whole thing, Curtis said, yes, I could fight a guy that's great on the ground in jiu-jitsu, but do I want to go in there and only do jiu-jitsu? That would be stupid.
Yep.
Of course I'm not going to do that. So I guarantee the whole mantra of that camp and everybody that was training with him was like, don't play to your opponent's strengths.
Yep.
Play to his weaknesses. And I guarantee Sean's smart enough to know that, okay, here's a guy that's a great kickboxer, world champion, all this other stuff. Don't make it a striking match. Play to what weaknesses that he's shown.
And I know I know we all love stand-up battles and wars, but
yeah,
I loved Chris Curtis being like, "Am I going to grapple with Adolfo Vieira? Hell no!
Yeah,
like that would be
stupid.
dumb. Like, I honestly wish Sean would have come in there today and be like, "Can I outstrike this guy? No, I don't fight in glory, but can I beat him in a mixed martial arts fight? Damn sure I can. Like, and he better be ready for that."
But he didn't leave it at that either. He said there is not a fighter in glory in any weight class that he can't hang with in the stand-up fight, and he made a big point of it.
I know.
Now,
that could be gamesmanship.
This might be the absolute perfect lead up to a fight where he's leading everybody to think he's going to do what he always does.
Yep.
He's going to go in there. He's going to work behind his jab. He's going to look to effectively point fight him, and just outpoint him over 3 rounds. But what we might see, and what if he wants to really have the best chance of winning, and to drop the name of another UFC fighter who is not who isn't shy of a controversial opinion or two, he needs to go full Colby Covington in his approach in terms of the fight itself. Throw punches to get the opening,
get inside,
then get inside and then get a takedown. And because if you stand on the outside with Alex Pereira, who he's a big lad as well.
He's got an 80-inch reach.
He's a big unit for a middleweight.
He's got a 4-inch reach advantage if these stats are correct. Strickland's got a 76.
Yeah.
4 inches is big.
Well, it's even bigger.
I say that, and I looked immediately at Morgan. 4 inches is a good day if I'm lucky.
But the other thing is standing in front of him is the kicks.
4 inches wide. I'm 4 inches wide. 2 inches in length. I'm like a crumpet. I'm just wide and thin.
And you spread butter on it, yeah? That's what
I did bring those in. Never mind.
We're more off the rails than Sean Strickland at this point.
No, trying to drag it back. Alex Pereira's kicks are a factor in this fight. I mean, he's got the reach advantage in the punches, but I think the kicks are going to be even more of a thing. And I think Strickland may find himself in trouble. We talked about low kicks with Izzy. Alex Pereira's low kicks are going to be absolutely savage.
He's a hulk of a dude, man.
He's a monster. He's a monster.
Literally looks like easily a light heavyweight. I mean, and bigger. He's just a beast of a dude, man. He's going to be a problem for anybody. And the fact that God bless Izzy's just like, I'll make him look even worse now. I'm just like, dude, you both look like young kids when you guys fought before. They both look like men now. But Alex looks like a man's man. That dude's a fucking
I
beast,
turned to
man.
Abby at media day, and Alex Pereira's on the stage. I just turned to Abby, nudged him, and went, "He looks like a killer, doesn't he? He looks
dude.
like a killer. Like,
It's in the eyes. Both of them had
You
the
know?
eyes. There's something in their eyes you could tell when they're just like, that dude's seeing shit, and like you don't want to get on the wrong side of him. But Alex, I mean, he really has it, man. He is a killer.
Oh, yeah, and I think if Alex wins this fight, you book the title fight right away.
Yeah, you do.
it. The history's there,
Yeah.
the story's there, it'll sell. And like I said, Alex is going to lose some fights, man. There's some matchups that don't make sense to him.
But you got
Book the title
the
fight.
one thing that we need to not lose sight of is the experience gap is absolutely it's not a gap, it's a chasm, right? It's massive, right?
Between
Like
these two, between Strickland and
Sean
correct.
Strickland has a very, very extensive career. He's fought all different types of opponents, and he's found a way to beat most of them, right? His form is excellent. And you're talking about Alex Pereira, who he's only had a handful of fights. This is by a distance, the best fighter he's ever faced in MMA. And this is an enormous jump for him. And let's not underestimate. You know, we're talking about the fact that this is a big stage. We're going to have a sold out crowd hopefully at the weekend. We had a big media day. Like, the scale of everything is big. And Alex Pereira's coming into this. Yeah, he's the betting favourite, which I find interesting.
Barely, though. It's barely.
It's almost a coin flip,
But it
isn't
just
it?
goes
It's almost
to
a
show
coin flip.
He started as the dog, and he got bet down to
Yeah.
the favorite, slight favorite, almost a coin flip.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show you that I think people
are buying into the whole Izzy thing.
Yeah, they
but
maybe
this is
didn't
the
know
thing.
the real story about it. Now as they're finding out, they're like, "Whoa, this is the guy that beat Izzy." Oh, okay.
This is the thing. If this is a striking matchup, Alex Pereira is the favourite, right? If this is a proper mixed martial arts fight, and that means Sean Strickland fights mixed martial arts, not just striking.
Right.
That's the thing. We mentioned it earlier with Volkanovski. I think he's a better mixed martial artist than Max Holloway. Clearly, Strickland is a better mixed martial artist at this stage than Alex Pereira. Now, Pereira may develop into a great mixed martial artist. Right now, he's a world-class kickboxer who's had a handful of fights in MMA. He's still got the training wheels on in terms of MMA, right? He's in there with a seasoned veteran of the game. And if Strickland fights with his head, he wins this fight.
I agree.
You know?
But I don't know if
It's gonna be gnarly.
But I don't know if he will.
If I was a betting man, I would avoid this fight like the plague. The odds aren't attractive enough on either side to take a
Don't
punt.
put this
so
shit in your parlay.
I would
This
back
will
away.
bust your parlay. This will bust your parlay.
Yeah,
100%
I would back away, sit back, and enjoy the action. But
All right,
I wouldn't
his
put money on
knees
it.
are just so nasty, man. That even if he gets close, I mean, like it's not even just his hands. You think he's gonna tie him up, but he's got that way of just getting a little bit distance and just destroying dudes with his knees. Strickland's got a tough fight, man. This is a tough one for him. He's got to get him to the ground. He can't even get into the clinch in this because in the clinch he's in danger. He has to get him to the ground.
I'm gonna go ahead and knock on wood right now, but Robbie Lawler, Brian Barberena can't suck, right? There's just no way that fight doesn't suck, right? It's gonna be a fun fight.
Brian Barberena looked like a kid on Christmas Eve in the media day today. He just looked like all his Christmases had come at once. Like, he had a great fight with Matt Brown last time. I know he got booed to the rafters because it was in Columbus, Ohio, and it was a great
city.
It was a great fight.
Damn,
it was a
great city.
OH Kenny.
I-O!
There you go. But now he's got Robbie Lawler. He's on some sort of Legends tour now. But Robbie Lawler, the last time I watched Robbie Lawler at International Fight Week, he was fighting Rory McDonald in the co-main event of UFC 189
goodness.
in one of the all-time great title
All-time
fights. All-time great title fights. And it's in the Hall of Fame, right? So, but Robbie Lawler has been through a lot of wars now. This is not peak Robbie Lawler we're talking about. And Brian Barberena is the welterweight division's answer to the Energizer Bunny, right? He just keeps on ploughing forward. He doesn't mind getting clipped here and there. He even said it. He said, "I fully expect to be getting punched in the face. I expect to get hit as hard as Robbie Lawler can hit me, and I'm looking forward to it," or something like that. To words to that effect. He's embracing the violence that is about to ensue, and this fight, as you said, it can't suck. It can't suck. And only an absolute thriller in one of the title fights will prevent that fight from being a fight of the night candidate, unless Brian Barberena does something and breaks Robbie Lawler early, or Robbie Lawler just finds a punch from 10 years ago and lands it clean. Lawler is a legend at this game, and in some ways, I would have been happier if he'd have retired earlier, because he's just an all-time great. And then when he got to win the belt, it was such a great moment because it felt like his chance had already gone, and that maybe he wouldn't get his chance. He got his chance. He became champion. He had that little run. He had that moment at the MGM Grand against Rory McDonald. The end of the 4th round. That little moment where they just stared at each other.
Moment.
Just he's going down in history as one of the all-time greats. He transitioned from the early Zufi years to the modern day Endeavour era of the UFC, and now he's giving back through Sanford MMA, helping a whole new generation of welterweights come through. This is going to be a tough fight for him, I think. Barberena is he doesn't know when to stop.
I'm not going to lie, since it is a UFC Hall of Fame induction weekend, I don't always remember the rules exactly of what qualifies as but does he qualify as technically he could be in the Pioneer Wing, but he's going to be like a modern era guy? Like he won the title in the modern era, so like technically he could go in as he's obviously a future UFC Hall of Famer. He's been a favorite of the organization for a long time. Dana White has clearly, talked about his affinity for Robbie Lawler. The dude has delivered epic classics, from day one. Does he qualify as a Pioneer?
He's got to. I've just pulled up his record. His debut in the UFC was against Aaron Riley. Unanimous decision win at UFC 37. May the 10th, listen to the year, 2002.
Yeah.
20 years ago. More than 20 years he's had. I mean, now, granted...
wasn't Sakabara was brought in as a Pioneer, right? And he never even fought in the UFC, right? Or did he get in there eventually, or was it...
No,
but he was in the Pioneer one.
Yeah. But because there's an actual
range.
Yeah, he does. He qualifies because it's before before the advent of the unified rules. So oh no, that was 2000. So he dated
just after
2002. Okay.
Yeah, 2002.
No.
That was his 5th pro fight.
Damn it, he doesn't qualify for the Pioneers. I think that because that would be kind of like
subjective.
something cool.
Well, I would like to see Roxy in there.
Put him in both wings. Have him in both wings. But yeah, like he had that early run. And then he left the UFC, bounced around a few different promotions, went to Elite XC for a bit.
That's crazy, man.
Strike Force for a bit.
He misses the Pioneer Wing by like a year and a half.
Yeah, but I mean, what he is a legend of the game.
He's a legend.
He's a legend of the game, and when he does eventually hang the gloves up, he will continue to give back to the game. He loves the sport so much, and down there at Sanford MMA, he's clearly beloved by everybody in that gym.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him fight again. It's been a while since I've seen Robbie Lawler fight live.
It brings a certain energy to the crowd. All right, main card kicks off with Pedro Munoz versus Sean O'Malley. Listen, Pedro Munoz, the strength of schedule that this man has had is insane, dude. The run of guys that he's fought is just absolutely insane. Here's another killer. And look, I'm going to say Sean O'Malley is a killer. I know a lot of people may look at him and say, still a little bit untested. This is his first test. I get that, and that's fair to say. But we're talking about talent, what you see, has he proven it? And that's one of the things, sometimes people, you talk about rankings and where people belong and stuff like that. To me, rankings are a list of accomplishment, not a list of like where you anticipate them to be or where you peg their talent to be. So I like, Sean O'Malley's kind of slow rise, but I do believe his talent is elite level. Now, this will be an opportunity for him to prove it. I guess the one thing I want to ask you guys about this, and look, it's really easy to write off Pedro Munoz. That would be dumb. He's fought the best in the world, and he's pushed them to the end. But Sean O'Malley, I do believe, is the real deal, and I think it's easy to be like, Sean O'Malley, he's a hype train, he's this. I don't believe that to be the case. So I think if you're writing off either person, you're making a mistake. These are both two very talented individuals. They're meeting at a good time. Now, here's what I wanted to ask you guys. Does Sean O'Malley seem today a little more mature? I loved.
Minus the 2 watches that didn't work on.
That was hilarious. I love that.
They were super fancy.
By the way, he did seem incredibly annoyed that he was being asked about it.
Because it's so ridiculous. Like, they're super expensive watches, and you can't take the time to fucking program them. Like, bro.
Well, he does not wear them to tell time.
Conor McGregor did that.
I mean, come on.
I know.
He's doubling down.
But that's what I think. Then you just feel like he's just borrowing somebody else's stick.
No, but Conor McGregor had 1 watch that he didn't use to tell time. I got 2 watches I don't use to tell time. How about that,
and
son?
Here's the other thing, Kenny.
Looks even more stickier.
He will, assuming those watches are showing different times, he will have the correct time 4 times today.
Look at that.
Right?
Look at that.
There you go.
It's so bad.
All right, but listen, I get it. I mean, he's over the top in terms of his presentation, his style. He's not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
Would
but
you ever wear a watch that didn't have the right fucking time?
I don't wear a watch, period, man. I don't like having things on my wrist.
Who
to be
does
honest with
that?
you, man? I mean, guys that are wearing very expensive watches.
So then you just take it off after you leave media day. You're just like, all right, cool, media day done. Let me put this watch.
Maybe
back
he got
in the
paid to wear that watch, man. You know what I'm saying? You never know.
Maybe.
He's like, hold on, they're gonna pay me how much to wear a watch? What if I wear 2 of them? You know what
You
I'm
would think
saying?
they want it to be working at peak, the right operations.
See, you're looking at this all wrong.
I know.
You're not on this level.
I guess not.
But
I'm not a fashionable man. I like my watches to be the right time. I'm wearing a fucking Fitbit.
All
but
right,
it's
so-
goddamn right time, though.
So other than the watch is not telling the right time, I get it. Look, his presentation, the way he dresses, you know, the hair, all that. Like, I get it. Like, some people are always going to call him a clown. They're going to say whatever. But I mean, we have definitely seen this kid, dude. It's so funny, man. Watching the other day, I think it was a countdown or whatever, and they were showing like his Contender Series fight, and it's like I haven't seen it in a while, man. Like, you're like, that's the same dude. Like,
unrecognizable,
kind of
isn't it?
forgot like what a baby he was
He's
when
grown
he
up
came
in front
in here,
of
man.
us, that's for sure.
So, you know, listen, and he's always been about marketing. He's always been more about, you know, not just fighting, but the whole brand presentation and all that. And I get it. Like, he caught a lot of flack when he came out with the whole thing of, like, I'm not going to fight top 10 guys until I have a top 10 contract. By the way, that's just smart business.
That's
you know what I
sensible,
mean?
yeah.
Like, but he caught shit for it and all that. So I understand all the criticism, all the doubters, all that. But I don't know. Now that he's in the rankings, now that he's fighting a top 10 guy, I don't know. To me, he struck me as a little bit more mature today, a little bit more ready, a little bit more like, okay, let's go. I mean, he talked about, you know, he big upped Pedro, right? Which a lot of times he's just been like, this dude sucks, this dude's da-da-da, I'm going to embarrass him. No, he's like, bro, I beat this guy. It means something. He's tough as hell, da-da-da-da. He big upped the UFC in terms of, hey, man, I know how you make money. I help them make money. I make more money. And that's the truth. You know, he said it. We're partners. The same thing that Dana always says. These are our partners. You know what I mean? Like, he's getting it. He's understanding it. And I don't know, man. And I even asked him, I said, look, you know, you win this, like, you slow played, but now do you accelerate things a little bit? And he didn't say, he didn't commit one way or the other, but he's like, you don't understand, like, things can happen fast. Da-da. I don't know, man. I honestly, I feel like this guy has slow played himself into this position and has an opportunity to break out, but I'm not automatically just circling him on the bout sheet against Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz is tough. This is a tough test, but I feel like Sean is ready to really break out. I know he's already popular. I know he's already a star in terms of metrics and things like that, but in terms of like really being a guy, I think he's ready.
He's 27 years old now. Like, he's not a kid anymore.
It's like a Cormier line. Just being a guy because Cormier's like, that's my guy. He's a guy. He's a guy.
He's not. Yeah, he's not a kid anymore, right? He knows the UFC ropes.
O'Malley
so
is a
to
guy.
speak.
He's a
Right?
guy.
Yeah. He's just a guy that does this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in a good spot now. I think if he gets a good win over, see, Pedro Munoz has never been knocked out
I know.
ever,
I know.
right? And he's been in there with some killers. He's never been knocked out. So if O'Malley goes in there and somehow manages to knock him out or TKO him, then that's a statement. That's a statement. And
It's been happening more often. Did we just see that last week? Didn't somebody just get knocked out or finished that had never been finished before?
Now you're going to test my memory.
I know. I'm like, what happened last week?
I focus on 1 week at a time.
Yeah.
That's all my little pea
Well,
I
brain
feel like
can
we just
handle.
saw
I
somebody else that just
know
lost.
Glover Teixeira got submitted for the first time by a guy who was submitting someone for the first time when he lost to Yuri Prohaska. I know
it's
that
happening.
happened.
It's happening more and more these days. Was it? Oh no, it wasn't Magny getting submitted for the first time, was it? I feel like it's happening more and more. Like these guys that have been like people for so long been like, oh, this guy's never done this. His toughness, that shit's kind of just the guys. Maybe just competition's happening so much, and maybe there's just always that first. But I feel like we've been having a lot of firsts like that lately, where guys that have been. Their chins have always been there for them. The chin didn't show up finally. Or the guy that's never been able to get submitted somehow gives his back up, you know.
It's an
I mean, you never know. But Pedro's tough. Pedro's tough. I mean, like, it's – I don't know, man. I feel like if there's going to be something where he has a better chance of and I could be completely wrong. I have a feel like he has a better chance of submitting Pedro than knocking him out. Because Pedro's chin is very, very tough, but O'Malley's jiu-jitsu and ground game is just absolutely sick.
But what you got to bear in mind is Pedro Munhoz is also a BJJ black belt. He just doesn't use it.
Yeah,
right?
true. Maybe we forget he has it. But
he
man,
just doesn't
O'Malley's
use it.
just fucking sick, man.
Yeah.
His jiu-jitsu's sick, man.
I say he doesn't use it. He's got more wins by sub than by knockout, which is slightly surprising. I'm just looking at his record now.
Yeah.
But
you
yeah,
think
I
of
mean,
this guy that wants to stand
you
first,
do,
and then he hurts you, and then jumps on the guillotine.
It seems like that seems
Yeah,
to be
right.
how it goes. But I mean, like, to take a look at Pedro Munhoz's record, right? Like, only a fool would write this man off, right? Yeah, he's on paper. If you just write the stats down, if you're doing like commentators' notes, right, like Cliff's notes or something, you'd have lost 4 of his last 5, right? Yeah, he lost to Dominic Cruz, former world champion, Jose Aldo, legend, former world champion, Frankie Edgar, former world champion in a weight class above, Aljamain Sterling, current world champion, right? So
It's insane.
he's not losing. He's not losing to scrubs, right?
Yeah.
And all of those losses were by decision. All of them, like he took every single one of those former or current champions to decision. So this is not a guy who is getting blown out of the water by championship quality opposition.
Can't write him off.
Right? He might have a little bit of red at the top of his record right now, but every single one of those fights were competitive. Another reason for that, 3 of his last 5 fights were fight of the night bonus winning fights. So he's taking 50k home with him for his part in those fights. One of them was a win over Jimmy Rivera, but he got a bonus for the Dom Cruz fight. He got a bonus for the Frankie Edgar fight. So he's competitive against anybody. Sean O'Malley, and I find this really interesting. Like MMA, especially like the MMA fandom and MMA Twitter, can be really sort of, I don't know. It's ridiculous. Like when Sean O'Malley got the rocket boosters put on him by the UFC when he came through the Contender Series, there's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of fan pushback on him, you know. But then we get to the point where he says, "Well, look, I want to get paid if I'm going to fight the big guys." Then they're pushing back on that. So, well, make your mind up. You know,
Yeah.
do you
I
want
thought
him?
that was awesome.
Do you want him to fight the big guys, or do you not want him to fight the big guys? If you want him to fight the big guys, give him big guy money, right? And so I think
Good
he's
business.
I think he's played things right. Yeah, he dresses very loud. He has the hair dye, changes the hair dye for every event. He was pink today, very very colourful. But yeah, no, I mean, he's packaging himself. He's making himself marketable. He's standing out from the crowd. But then he goes and occasionally does the business.
Yep.
Now it's acid test time, right? He's in there with a guy who has proved himself, win or lose, against the best fighters on the planet in his weight class. He goes in there and beats him. There could be no argument. The UFC needs to give him a new deal and then give him a fight against top 10 opposition. And then let's see how he does.
Damn straight. You know what time it is. Get it? Because of the watches?
Yeah. Just
You know
don't ask him what time it is.
All right, listen, we could literally spend the rest of the evening breaking down the rest of the card. If you
That's
want,
the Duke speaking
if
right
you
there.
want a deeper breakdown of the full card, tune into the live stream
good, isn't it?
on Friday. Myself and Simon Head, we'll be talking about this in between interviews. Our man Cody Merrow will be around as well, so we're looking forward to that. But we'll just we'll lay this out. Look, this card is legit stacked. I mean, that main card we just went through is insane. I mean, there's not a fight on there you want to miss. You go to the prelims on ESPN and ABC. Brad Riddell versus Jalen Turner. That could be an absolute banger.
Yep.
Both of them kind of said, I don't think it's going to be a banger because I'm going to finish the other dude, but I think it could be an absolute banger. The legends, Donald Cerrone and Jim Miller. I mean, come on, fighting for the all-time UFC wins record as well. I mean, that's
perfect.
That's cool. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of the stats that we track sometimes, I'm like, who fucking cares if I'm being honest with you? But the all-time wins record
That
in the
means
UFC,
something. That
means
something.
something.
Yeah.
Not most significant strikes in 3-round featherweight bouts or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, no, the all-time wins record, that means something. Ian Gary versus Gabe Green. Of course, a lot of people high on Ian Gary, but, you know, as he said, man, I could go choke out, you know, whatever. He's kind of the same way that O'Malley said, where O'Malley was
I'll
like,
beat
choke
Khabib
out
and he'd be
Khabib.
like, yeah.
I feel like Ian Gary was saying the same thing, where he's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever I do, it's not going to be good enough for people. Brad Tavares versus Dricus Duplessis. Brad Tavares.
Great
It
fight.
is crazy, man. 12 years in the UFC, and he's still in the rankings. I know we're all high on Dricus Duplessis. Then you go to the early prelims. The early prelims, are capped off with Uriah Hall versus Andre Muniz.
That's sick.
That's insane. 2 ranked fighters there. Love Uriah, but he don't want to. In the same way that Chris Curtis didn't want to go to Hidalgo.
Floor is lava.
Yeah,
floor is lava.
Floor is lava for Uriah Hall. If he can do what Chris Curtis did the other night, he should do that because Andre Muniz is the real deal. Jessica Macy Barber, 2 ranked fighters there, and Jessica Rose Clark versus Julija Stoliarenko. We won't break them all down. Like I said, if you want to join into the YouTube stream on Friday, do that because I'm sure myself and Simon Head over the course of 7 hours we'll have plenty of time to break down some fights. But I guess Cold Coffee, I'll start with you.
First fight, that's hot as shit.
That's the one you're most
excited. Jess and Julie
There's
Stoliarenko.
the
Holy shit.
There's the Duke
fight of the
talking.
night. Well, I mean, yeah, whatever. There's a lot of great ones, but that one's really hot.
That's the one. All right, Simon Head. Feel free to use whatever criteria you want.
This is what the analysts tune into. I am the picks leader in MMA Junkie. I'm just saying.
Let's keep it going.
There's a
all
bunch
the
of
way to
champs
the
here,
end.
though.
As a former champion, I can congratulate you.
There's a bunch
on
of
that.
champs here, right here.
Yes, I am, Abby Saban.
It was the asterisk year.
Asterisk,
but he
special.
beat me out. I got number 2 that year, but he beat me out. And
yeah, I didn't even need a full season to beat you. That's how good it was.
We got some studs in this. That's right. You're right up there too. We'll get Abby on here before the show's over to say hello to everybody.
I appreciate you guys. Keep my belt nice and warm. You know what I mean? Like,
I want to.
which Simon Head, which one are you looking forward to?
Let me chuck two names in for you because we haven't mentioned them too much. I'm looking forward to Tavares Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis is absolutely legit. I think he's top 10 caliber at middleweight. I really do.
I don't disagree.
I really do. I just think he needs the fights to get there. And this is the one that does it. And you think Israel Adesanya's UFC journey really started here in Vegas at the Palms against Brad Tavares in a main event. This is Dricus du Plessis' chance to really make a statement. If he can finish Brad Tavares, then that's a massive statement because no one finishes him easily. So, and the other thing, Ian Gary, like him or hate him, he's a very confident lad. Very, very talented, undefeated. Just want to give a word to Gabe Green. Gabe Green is legit. Like, you watch some of his past fights, and I remember he came into the UFC. I used to do Rookie Report at Junkie, and he fought Daniel Rodriguez on his debut. That's a tough fight on your UFC debut.
Yep, D-Rod.
And he lost the decision in that fight. But since then, he's won fights since then, and he's looked pretty solid. He's durable. He's prepared to go toe-to-toe, strike for strike with people. I think he's going to have a size disadvantage against Ian Gary. But he gave one of the best lines of media day today. Because Ian Gary had apparently said in a previous interview that Gabe Green's nickname is Gifted. Gifted Gabe Green. And Ian Gary had apparently told another outlet, the only gifted fighter on Saturday night is going to be me. And one of the journalists put it to him at media day, and Gabe Green went, "That's funny, because on Saturday night I'm going to gift him an L." And I thought that was a lovely, lovely line. And I'm looking forward to that fight. That's a good test for Ian Gary.
That is a good fight.
It's a good test.
Ian left. I mean, a lot of people were seeing this kid as like the next second coming of like the greatest fighter ever. And that last fight, I mean, the flaws were shown. So I mean, if he comes out and gives everything, I mean, that's the one I think people are looking at to see whether this kid's worth all the hype, because he has a lot of hype coming.
Yeah.
The UFC's chomping at the bit to fucking push this guy to the moon and back.
You put him in the same bracket is Paddy Pimblett. They're both former Cage Warriors champions. They're both very comfortable in front of the camera.
He's great in front of the camera.
They're very outgoing. They give their opinion. Just let them settle in the UFC. Let them progress. And I think if you spoke to either one of them, yeah, they're very confident. But both of them, I think, would tell you the same thing. They're not going to go out and win the title tomorrow.
Right.
They need to take the steps needed to get where they need to be. I think they've both got their feet on the ground, even though they exude confidence in very different ways. They're very different characters.
I think Ian's more realistic about that. Where he's
I think
like,
you're right. Between the two of those two, correct.
Yeah. I think Paddy
agree.
thinks he could fight for a title tomorrow, whereas Ian's like, nah, let me take baby steps.
I think Paddy's more grounded than a lot of people think. I mean, maybe I've seen a lot more of him, and I've read and watched many more interviews. I think like he's a super confident guy. But he knows the score. He knows that you can't jump from point 1 to point 100 straight away. There's a process, and he's working through that process. And Ian Gary's the same. Ian Gary, he's leaving his gym in Ireland. Team KF was quite controversial at the time, and I think there was a little bit of consternation between them when they split. But that aside, him joining Sanford MMA, I think, is a great move for him. Yeah. There's so many welterweights in that gym that can really help him progress. There's so many good coaches there. And, I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. He's not going to be world champion tomorrow, and I know a lot of people will be turned off by the overt confidence, but just judge him by his performances in the cage and realise that he's only a couple of fights into his UFC career and just see how he goes.
And I mean, and the UFC loves that market. They love the Dublin market. They love the Irish. They love everything Europe that's over there. I mean, and like you brought up Paddy. I mean, like these are two guys that whole market can rally around. I mean, the UFC will never get away from that market, and they have to constantly look at stars. They can only go to Connor for so long before finding new stars, and these guys are the new breed.
Yeah.
That
I've
they
got
need
to
to
correct.
kind of lean on.
Paddy's not Irish though.
Well,
He's a Scouser. He's a Scouser. But
he's-
yeah,
I'm just
and
Europe.
Scousers don't get knocked out. Just sort of
That's
mention that on behalf of Mr. Pimlet. Scousers do not get knocked out. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward. This fight card is just top to bottom.
It's insane.
Stacked. It is
insane.
absolutely stacked. So many good fights. We've seen in the past. I think Dana did it at the London event where he just dished out bonuses like Oprah.
They've been doing that a lot lately.
He did it. I think a week or so ago as well. Everyone who got a finish got a bonus.
Like,
I
like,
would
is
have.
this tax time or something? Why are they giving all this
Bro, we gotta
money
get
out
rid of
all
some
of a
money,
sudden?
bro.
They're
I
like, we
wouldn't
gotta have
mind-
some write-offs, yo.
I wouldn't mind that though. If you get a finish, you get a bonus. I quite like that as
I love
a
that.
thing. And then maybe just do fight of the night, just to have one fight of the night bonus and give bonuses to finishes. I think that would be great. I think they've got the bandwidth to do that.
I mean, they certainly have the money
yeah,
that they could do it.
But I think we're going to see. This is a spectacular card. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a belter.
I love it. All right, well, make sure, everybody, if you want to hear the and a half wrap-up edition, you head on over to patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow. You can support us for as little as $3 a month. Myself and Cold Coffee would certainly appreciate it. If nothing else, make sure you, wherever you're listening, you log in, you rate us, review us, leave us a little feedback. We appreciate that. And look out for the live feed this week over on
That other site.
the MMA Underground YouTube page. Myself, Simon Head, Cody Merrill, we're putting it all together. Looking forward to it. It's going to be big. There's the Hall of Fame induction tomorrow night. There's going to be the UFC X on Friday and Saturday. There's UFC 276. It's so much to do.
And the UFC 278 presser is going on.
A lot going on.
So much. Tune in to MMA Junkie.
I mean, you could, but why would you
Yeah.
really? In the meantime, thanks for listening.